couch potatoes! Will you join me on a quest to kill the vampire queen?
Who art thou?
Sit.
Hi, I'm David Short.
I'm Matthew Rowe.
I'm Zach Eshma.
And I'm Matt Resch.
We watched a movie today.
We walked in on a movie today.
Yeah.
We did not watch a movie today.
Here's a review. That's it.
What the fuck was it?
It was, Tales of an Ancient Empire. Tales of an Ancient Kingdom.
Abelar. Tales of an Ancient Empire.
There's...
If you want to know how this movie ends, please tell us.
If you want to know how this movie is, please tell us.
Please tell us.
It's mind-boggling. All right, how many production companies started this?
Seven.
Seven.
That's
A lot of
probably
effort went
more.
into this.
15 minutes of credits.
Oh my god. Alright, well, alright.
All right, let's put a minute on the...
Let's put a minute on the clock. You guys don't know. I give a minute plot, just so you guys can get
Because
the
that's the
feeling
thing
that
with
you have.
us now,
Yeah.
apparently.
Alright, and go. So, it begins 20 years ago, where Oda is killing this, Oda is a great warrior or some shit. He's killing this vampire queen and this sorcerer. Fast forward 20 years, the vampire queen's back, and, look, I don't fucking know. I have no idea. I guess, she's trying to take over the kingdom, and she did take over the kingdom, and then the princess, who is really half vampire, and Oda's daughter, is trying to take back the kingdom by getting the brothers and sisters of her to join her. And then they quest, and then they run into their father, but the father already knew, and he dies, and then they all die. I think.
But one of them survives, but doesn't survive. But
That's...
you got it. You got it in a minute type of deal. But still, yeah, I'm baffled.
Yeah.
I'm baffled.
Did you remember the character they introduced just to kill?
I remembered Oda, and... No.
I remembered no one.
No.
None of the characters in this movie were memorable to me at all.
You had Han Solo, you had Luke/Leia.
Yeah, you had the cliche characters.
Oh, God. Alright, well, I guess we should go into a little bit of the backstory real quick.
The 15 minutes of credits.
The 15 minutes of credits. Okay, so when you open up a film, you got a couple minutes of credits, and if they have to throw in some prologue-y shit, so you get it all down, you probably put it in there, or before the credits even. They wouldn't end.
They just kept going and going.
It started with the opening credits and this lady talking, saying like, "In years gone by, the show and show of the things and stuff."
I figured that she was going to start saying the spice must flow. But
It was very Dune.
very Dune. There was so much David Lynchian shit in this movie.
And the opening credits went, and they gave more prologue, and then there was this weird green screen scene, and then
They
they
were
gave
multitasking.
more prologue.
And
It
the
was-
concept art of the storyboards.
yeah,
and
which
whatever
was
it
actually not horrible.
It looked great, and then they ruined it with the movie.
The idea was better on paper.
God.
Breaking only from the concept art for very vague pieces of what can only be described as a lack of a story.
Oh my god, it was terrible. They came in, they killed the sorcerer, and then Oda went to the vampire queen and was ready to strike. But then he was very aroused.
They were very turned on by each other.
Are you sure? Oh, sorry. Are you sure you can handle a vampire? My sword is always poised for difficulties.
The thing is, the movie,
And
This is
dick
the real
gets
line. These are the real lines.
the movie sounds good right now, or at least enjoyable.
And then
It's something this fractured cannot.
And then they
be.
go. And the funny thing is, then they go back to the drawings for the sex scene, and I'm like, you cut out all of the more interesting parts of this movie. If it's all bad, show us the smut. You must understand the rules here.
Point being, the first 15 minutes were hard to get through.
It just can't. It never ended.
It never
and then when we
ended.
thought it was over, all of a sudden the title popped up.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
different than the one on Netflix. So.
It's Abelar, Tales of an Ancient Empire or Kingdom. Matt, put a title here to correct me. Cool. Alright. It was that one. I knew it. See, I was right. Anyway, so then the
We know
ancient...
Final Cut. We're filmmakers. We know about that, so you just put one image over another.
So then the ancient
Better than
vampire
the people who
queen...
made this fucking movie.
The ancient vampire queen comes back and she's like wanting to rule the kingdom or something.
Or something.
All right, that's really. I think. I've already given.
What is the kingdom anyway? The whole entire.
I know Abelar! The kingdom of weird green screening!
Yeah!
That's really what the worst part of this movie is. And we're going to cover most in this review.
My personal favorite part, I need to interject this,
Go ahead.
is when he goes to meet the sorcerer in the desert, and in white Helvetica print says Assyria, plain of death, or something like that.
No, it's just like Abelar Desert.
Like right below it.
Wow.
As if we did. And I'm pretty sure that's the only part in the movie
It
where
is.
they do that.
Better than describe anything at all, really.
It's like,
No.
yes, by the way, just in case you didn't know,
This is
you
the
are
end.
now watching a film review.
Going ridiculous with the type.
Matthew's bedroom.
Stop it!
So, yeah, like I was saying, this is really the worst part of the movie. It's how disjointed and insane the plot is.
There's no story. I mean, there is, but there isn't. And there's a plot, but there isn't a plot. It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Let's talk about the actors individually.
And the
These
singular lines they
actors.
throw.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
The singular lines with the actors, it was...
Yeah, let's go into the actors then. You have, I guess, the main character would be the half-vampire princess.
Which is never brought up in the movie, by the way.
Yeah, she's there, but the half-vampire part may as well not even be a thing. She could just be psychic for all you know. And that's not even necessary.
Just dumb.
So how is she, guys?
I don't know. I wasn't there for that part of the movie.
She was the entire... No, actually, she wasn't in the second half.
No.
You're on your own, buddy.
Yeah, these
You're
guys...
on your own.
These guys, they walk
Now
in
later
during
on,
the second
I'm
half, so-
happy to talk about Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, all right,
It's
so...
nice to see that Kevin's back.
Essentially, this
Hercules, hanging in there.
This actress, all right, everyone is given Old English lines, but they can't talk Old English.
Some people there's only a very select few people who actually have an English accent.
Yeah, and the other people are just like, but thou and verily, I knoweth that it is true, sire.
And if you know Old English, it's like a contradiction in terms or a redundancy. It's just,
Exactly.
oh god.
It's bad.
Which, we'll get to that in writing, but the actors, needless to say, they are not Shakespearean.
They are definitely not into their characters.
They are not
either.
thespians.
They are not. They are
Clearly,
not
you can
involved in
tell
their characters.
By the facts.
So then Kevin Sorbo
This is
in-
a vampire
Which
movie.
don't fit, by the way.
Oh, never.
Oh, yeah.
It's as if they all have braces on, and they can't...
I think it's those dollar store ones that you get that are just attached to each other.
Throughout the entire film, they're talking.
And they have to over-enunciate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
It's like, you know what? It's like, yes, this is nice land indeed.
So Kevin Sorbo is the half-brother, same father, different mother, of the half-vampire chick thing. How was Kevin Sorbo?
He was the Han Solo of the movie.
Oh, yeah, he was. Now tell me, kid, is there a bounty on this quest? Because I'm not doing it if there isn't.
I think he was a combination between Han Solo and Chewie.
Fantastic hair, really.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, always.
I am just really happy to see that Kevin Sorbo is getting regular work, but at the same time, let's be perfectly honest, he's terrible in this movie. No, he's not terrible.
Paycheck. Throw the paycheck.
He's not there. He's there, but he's not there. And as we all know, and this is dead serious, Kevin Sorbo at one point in his career had 3 strokes within 30 minutes, and that really presented a hamper. And he turned his life around, and it's very much a small miracle that he is in good health. And as a result, he cannot do action scenes anymore. So the editing decides to do it for him
ShitFlix
and
dark.
everyone else. Okay.
Hold up, we're still on acting, man.
I mean,
Jump in the shot.
the jump cuts are everywhere.
I was certain I was going to do that, so I'm glad you took the reins.
Wait for the jump. Wait for the
for it.
editing.
Wait
That's
for
the
it.
next part.
All right,
Okay.
acting. You got another sister who is like a whore.
I don't
or
know
something.
any of the girls.
She doesn't appear. The other girl doesn't matter. Then you got the father, Oda. No. You knew him as the white-haired guy. We knew him as the dark-haired guy.
The one who was dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, him.
Sephiroth, the balding, fat, wrinkled Sephiroth.
The guy with the terrible, terrible tendency to just...
Yeah, he opens up. He's terrible. And they have him next to his concept art, like the comic book version. That guy's badass.
Yeah.
This guy is not.
No.
This guy looks like, how do I put it? LARP.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's not good. And then...
His weapon even looks fake.
This goes into... Oh, my God. Two things. This goes into plot, but we didn't cover it. We need to cover it. He shows up, and he's just lying there. We couldn't hear a word he was fucking saying because the sound editing is very poor. But the next shot he's in, there are 3 vampires. He comes over the hillside, fires blades at them. They're just
because
out of fucking nowhere.
Because he fucking can.
Exactly. The second thing is his death. The main characters, the brothers and sisters.
Did he die?
I don't
He did
know.
die. Yes,
I don't know.
It was off screen.
It was excellent. It was an epic scene.
He died, but then he was with those 2 people from the beginning who were just like, "Hey, we got more adventures."
That's
Like,
because that was supposed to
let's
happen.
go.
Because that's the scene where
That's the
they all
adventure
meet up
zone.
at the end, and he comes rushing in out of nowhere
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they were looking for him.
All right, so yeah, all the main characters are in this castle, and something's going down. I couldn't tell. It was jump cutting like crazy. And then he rushes in, and there was apparently a vampire in their group, so he rushes in and stabs the vampire. But he gets hurt in the process, so he's sitting there going, "You must carry on your own adventure." Look.
Yeah. And then, alright.
He breathes pretty heavily.
The
for a while.
stranger? The stranger in the inn.
Oh, the stranger's a totally different character.
We like him.
Let's get to that in the last 5 minutes.
If you
Let's get to that in the last 5 minutes.
But you know, his acting in this movie.
He just shows up, he's like, "Well, ladies,
I must go on another adventure.
I would like to bed you all.
Again.
He's charming, really.
He shows up out of fucking nowhere, makes out with the main character, and then leaves. And we're like, what the fuck?
He's like, I'm off on another adventure. Away.
But
At least he
we'll
didn't
get
lose
to that.
But after
characters, is that it?
the actual characters themselves, very stock standard.
Vampire Queen, how was she?
She was hot.
You guys didn't even see her. The
I'm
entire
sorry.
second half of the movie
Yeah.
is a totally different fucking story.
You don't even see it. Like, she was just like, yeah. She was the only reason to watch the first half of the film.
And you guys didn't get her. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry
Wasn't
about
she
that.
the one who was naked?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did show you that.
That's right, because the beginning was
It's
the
not as good
storyline.
as you think.
Because the beginning, the storyline, she had the baby, right? Because
She had the baby.
Well, no, she sort of had the baby. He cut the baby out
They
of her.
abortioned the
They-
baby.
Forced cesarean.
Yes.
Stop. We keep throwing around this word story. Listen, that's a word that has a very specific meaning that is nowhere to be found in this film. So, personally, I'm going with the theory of
This
that
hiccup.
It's no, it's art. It's deviant art that we cannot understand yet. It's going to be 50 years from now. It will be reappraised as the masterpiece that it is.
No.
That pushed the narrative forward.
This is not an inland empire.
By getting rid of it all
Zach,
together.
this isn't John Cage's
If you're-
4 minutes and 33 seconds.
If you're not an optimist,
See,
it's
this
shit.
is why he's a music guy.
I
It's
think
shit,
that's
that's
the
why
wrong
it's on
title,
ShitFlix. Okay.
Alright, so characters, that's basically all you need to know. There are none.
Writing. Fuck.
The writing,
Fuck.
alright.
How many writers were on this?
I don't know. I think it was just the one. Yeah, it was
Oh.
just the one. You said this at the beginning when you were rewatching it. That there's a thing in Screenwriting 101 where you shouldn't go over 5 pages of backstory. Now, typically speaking, in screenwriting, each page is a minute. So you shouldn't go over 5 minutes of backstory, give or take. 20 minutes in, and we just got done the prologue.
Yeah, the prologue, and that's not even all the exposition in the movie.
We still have the princess's story, we still have these other people's
All of
story.
it leads up to about the first half an hour of the film. And this is the thing. The ending credits are about 11 to 12 minutes themselves.
Oh,
You put the credits together,
With the opening credits?
the movie itself is only an hour.
Yeah, not even.
Not even an hour. It's like 50 some odd minutes. They probably added the extra credits into it to make it a longer movie. Because sometimes film festivals will not accept movies that are under a certain length.
This was submitted to film festivals. Those poor souls who had to.
It had to get released somehow.
It didn't even. I thought it was just straight to DVD, and we just got the shit edge of it.
I don't know.
All right. This is one we can all appreciate here. Writing sucked. That's all you need to know. Editing.
This makes Any Given Sunday look like fucking. What is it? Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, yeah.
The editing is so choppy and so horrific. You guys didn't catch the first half of it. The first half's editing was worse than the second half.
The fuzzy face guy?
No.
Yeah,
the Fuzzy Face 5, that's fine, but after that, it gets worse.
Yeah, there was this one part where it looked like someone went ridiculous with the smudge effect on Photoshop. He was like, I know how to edit in post.
All right, so jump cuts, bad thing. Zach, you have any comment on that?
Okay, In
Burn 10 minutes off.
In editing 101, the thing they tell you to do is clearly establish characters within space. I had and there's various techniques to do this, I had no idea where anybody was, even when there were scenes where the camera wasn't moving.
It was like...
They would just change the size of the shots.
It's like The Room.
And so...
multiple shots. It's like, this shot here, right here, this is me looking at Zach. Somehow they managed that.
I mean, it's how do fight scenes work if you have no sense of
That's
where
the
things
other thing.
are in space? I mean, but even during conversations, it was just, oh God, wow.
The other thing editing did was, it was also part of the script. They had this thing where it was 20 years ago. That was the prologue. Then it moved to current day. Then it moved to 2 months later. And then just kind of bounced between those 2 month segments until the earlier of the 2 months ended.
You had to guess every single time
It
it
was just
happened.
like, I think this is on a ship, which would make it 2 months earlier?
Oh, wait, no, it's later.
Later,
Oh,
okay, well, whatever, happens.
Oh, wait, no, it was earlier. Oh,
But
no,
that
wait.
guy's not...
Oh,
Alright, this is the time...
the exasperated
Staring into the eye of the dragon.
This is...
Staring
Yeah,
into the
that's
eye
what
of the
kept
dragon.
This is the time we need to talk about it, because it's not going to fit anywhere else. The ending.
Which one?
There were multiple? I thought that was all one ending. I thought it just didn't know what to do.
Wait. There was an ending?
Yeah.
All right.
Because this doesn't even work as a
Hold on,
cliffhanger.
we need to go on the meta scale.
Endings
here.
belong in
Go on the
stories.
meta
This
scale.
makes
Oh,
Assault
oh.
Girls' ending look good.
Hold on. There was build-up before this ending.
Yeah,
You're
what?
forgetting that. You're about to see the final battle. You're about to see it all go down.
All
Everything
yeah.
that the film has been building up
Taking-
to. And this is why it's art.
Yeah, taking out the vampire queen who has completely taken over the entire kingdom. This is like
And also
100% fantasy ending.
This giant snake creature thing.
Behind the door.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was. But what did they do? As soon as the father dies, as soon as Odo dies, shit goes fucking crazy.
And they go back to the illustrations. But
For a second at least.
well, for the actual fight,
Yeah, for the actual fight. God damn, it was terrible. Okay, the best way...
there was no payoff. There was no climax.
What happened was, they had a bunch of jump cuts where they saw him walking, and then stabbing a giant dragon-looking thing.
Which was still an anime. It was still like the drawing itself, while the guy himself was live action.
Right, and then they had the final... one of the girls, I don't even know who, was lying in the desert, and she said, well, all of them died, and it was all for naught, and the queen still takes over. And then they cut back to those same shots of them killing the dragon lady. Then they have Oda up in heaven, or someplace, talking to some fallen comrades, saying, let's go on more adventures.
And then they go.
And then they show some of the repeated clips again, and then credits. Seriously, am I fucking missing something here? Is this like the greatest fucking ending of all time? Is this like...
Lynch.
David Lynch.
Though this movie takes so much after Lynch.
Oh my god.
And not in a good way. It takes all the bad elements of Lynchian filmmaking. And I love David Lynch. I love him to death. And I love his movies. I love his shows. All that jazz.
Mhm.
But the thing is, at the same time, though, there is a weird sour taste that some of his shit has. One of my favorite movies of all time is Mulholland Drive, which at the end of it, because of the way the original thing was, it was a mind fuck and it made absolutely no sense unless, A, B, and C was following the script. That's what it looks like they were trying to kind of go for here, but they failed in the most abysmal fashion fucking imaginable.
And that's what we need to get into at the end here. Alright, first off, cinematography.
It wasn't horrible. It's just the editing ruined all of it.
That one scene with the cardboard clouds was attractive.
That was the desert. They were just out in the desert. And then, oh, look, it's terrible.
This is just horrible. I wouldn't want any of this.
Sound design, nah, it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. They had good music.
It was interesting music choices.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little modern. It had a little alternative rock sounding to it, but.
And then that basically covers all the bullet points we need to, which is why we need to get into what we discovered.
What we discovered after the movie.
Now, it ended on a downer ending. One of the most famous downer endings in cinema is Empire Strikes Back, which was part of a trilogy. Yeah, this is the Empire of the trilogy.
Now, his testicles well and watch.
Now, we will say that this is only the Empire of this series in the spirit that it's a sequel.
Yeah, it's the second one. It's not the fact that it's the best of the trilogy.
It's so bad.
But we're being too cruel because this was years and years and years.
This was the
28
spiritual sequel. This was the spiritual sequel.
In 1982?
Of the Sword and the Sorcerer.
Sword and the Sorcerer, made by Peter something or another.
The perfect
No, it's
time
not-
for a movie of
No,
Sword and
Whatever the
Sorcery.
holy hell his name is.
Whatever his name's the director.
Here.
Boom, this guy.
But the thing is,
In
28 years later.
Come on, dude, we just need to explain what exists. We're not even telling him. In 1982, he made a film. It was his directorial debut, right?
Yeah, it was his first, according to IMDb. Anyway.
Called The Sword and the Sorcerer, which was just an epic fantasy film. And we watched at least the first half of it. It was good.
I mean,
It was cheesy, but it was solid.
It was solid 80s epic fantasy cheese.
Yes.
It's like watching the Conan movies. It's not as epic as the Conan movies, but still, it's in the same vein.
It didn't look like it was pasted together by a 5-year-old.
Yes, the editing was still pretty fucking bad.
28 years later, after this director had also made the Captain America movie in the 90s. Yeah, a lot of you who follow Nostalgia Critic will know that one.
Yes.
He made this movie, which was actually announced at the end of the first movie. In the credits, it says, "And now, tune in for our sequel, The Tales of an Ancient Kingdom or Empire."
Whatever the holy hell his name in the movie is.
That one. This was the spiritual successor of that movie, not the literal successor. That being said, they took tons of opportunities to make callbacks.
There are
out the ass.
so many. See, the thing is, when we first started watching the movie, they had a lot of references, like the sword-shooting sword.
The blades that he fired
the
at the
full
vampires.
blades that he fired at the vampires.
There you go.
Its origin was in this movie, and we found out a reason why he fucking had it.
Yep. Well, Oda's still not in the first movie. We don't know where.
Well, we
the fuck
haven't
he
watched the end of the first movie,
No,
so he couldn't show up.
I looked through the cast. He doesn't exist.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Not by that name, at least. So,
Either way, it's
He
just the
doesn't
fact of the matter is that that's the origin of that weapon.
And the second thing that really struck us was that the main character in the first movie was this guy. Well, I'd love to bed you all again. He's that guy. He's the adventurer going
wearing
out on
the
another battle.
same outfit.
Having a mustache this time.
30 years younger, of course,
Oh,
respectfully.
He looks like he hasn't aged a day.
He's fantastic.
He's terrible.
He was terrible.
Yeah.
The movies are they're confounding me, really, because the original film sets up, one, its credits are like 2 minutes.
Not even.
Yeah.
3 minutes in, and we're like opening title,
It's like-
on with the story.
And then the opening exposition takes a grand total of about 5-6 minutes to set up.
Yeah.
The plot was moving 10 minutes in. You got the story underway. What the fuck happened?
Okay.
What the fuck happened?
That opening intro 15 minutes wasn't even talking about the first movie. That was talking about a completely different series of events entirely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. In film theory, there's the people are familiar with the concept of directorial entropy. Namely, that a director who has a good, solid career will, at a certain point, start to get worse over time. This is the
Nature
worst
is breaking
example.
down.
This is the worst example of that I have ever seen. I defy you to pick a director who has gone that bad at the end of his career. Not Lucas isn't even close to this.
Well, I don't know.
you're not going to be the one watching their suggestions, Zach.
Dude, we did Uli Lamel a couple episodes ago. And the thing is, before he was a director, he was an actor, and he worked with Fassbender, Rainer Fassbender and whatnot. He was a star of a couple of his movies. I'm like, how the fuck does the director as horrible as you work with some... He also got fame for working with Andy Warhol, which I don't fucking care, because fuck Andy Warhol.
I like Andy Warhol.
I don't like his movies.
So then this movie did things. But no, that's really all about... We can say about the movie.
All That Eve.
Go down the list.
Good movie.
Final thoughts, Matt. Here we
Alright.
go.
When it comes to the second one, when it comes to the age, whatever the fuck this movie's called, it's not harmful to your brain, but it's still not worth the time.
No.
The original, it's a fun little bit of 80s cheese fantasy. And I can say that you should definitely give that a shot.
Forget the second one?
Forget the second one. It doesn't exist. If it's a spiritual sequel, then it can remain in spirit. So...
Alright, for me, I'm going to have to agree 100%, unless you just want to see how people could fuck up opening titles. It seems like such the most standard thing, but nah.
I mean, I love opening titles, but they're like,
Yeah.
watch all of them!
I'm sorry, did you want 2 movies? Because we just lopped them on in here. Go ahead and give it a watch. That movie, the one that we're reviewing, not good. First one, it's 80s cheese. You just gotta take what you can get.
It's cheese.
Zach, what do you got?
It's genius. One day,
Genius.
at the Guggenheim, it will be played, and we will realize how wrong we were.
I hope that you're right.
But until that day comes, the more people neglect it, the more cool I will seem when I say I was ahead of the curve.
Hipster Zach.
when it gets played. So don't watch it because I want to be better than you.
Perfect.
You got the audience on your side. Matt, what about you?
I'm torn because I'm reminded of the words of George Harrison, who once said he believed that everybody should at least try LSD once to experience that sense of losing yourself, I believe. And this movie is sort of like that. It's something you would have to try, if only to experience for yourself, because there is no drug that can recreate this movie for you.
You want to watch Sandy Hook Lingerie Party Massacre?
Do not
God.
ever suggest that fucking movie.
In short, it's incredibly enjoyable to watch how much something can really, really suck.
I think that's pretty good. Alright, so that's it. All in all, don't give it a watch. So yeah. Oh, God.
So you want to go on that adventure?
Yeah.
Go.
And so they marched off, watching bad film after bad film on behalf of those in the internet who could not, or had the common sense not to. And it was all animated by a brighter day, until they were killed, and raped, and revived, and then tortured slowly, and then killed, and then revived, and were forced to watch every Adam Sandler film back to back,
and then killed again, and then finally mutilated by a Serbian film. The end.